Welcome back to The Lonely Road. We're here to join you on your journey to heal and become a better human. Many of you guys know me from my job or my other podcast, and this is going to be a very different show. As always, we're here to help you, make you a better person, and try and show you the light in some things that some people really, really kind of struggle seeing. KJ, how have you been?
How the hell are you, Zach?
I am pretty okay.
I'm doing all right. I'm a little on edge tonight, but hopefully this will help that.
It always seems to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And I think we were saying that last week. It's like, regardless of what mood we go into this kind of feeling like, even if we're on edge or feeling like, toes get stepped on here and there, you're able to kind of get the thoughts out. And once they're out, then all of a sudden, some reason, fixing something else kind of fixes everything in your mind.
yeah,
I don't know if that's just me, but it always feels that way.
yeah. It's it just needs a reset. Sometimes you just need a reset, you know.
You're good. You want me to press refresh and we'll start again and you're fine?
Nope, nope.
Okay.
It's been a long week. A lot's happening in the world, and I think it affects everybody in different ways.
Oh, I definitely agree with that. Everything, and it's not even just like my life or like everything that's close and near and dear. It's like everything all at once kind of feels chaotic.
Yeah, things
Everything
happening
does
in the
frankly.
world, things happening in your life, something happening at work. It just gets to be overwhelming.
Yeah,
Ugh.
no, it feels like everything's kind of not necessarily shit, but it feels like everything's just so uneven right now. And it's really kind of weird to grasp and try and figure it all out
For the
because you
last
don't know
couple
exactly what
days,
the answer
I
is.
felt
Yeah.
it the same way. For the last couple days, it's kind of felt off,
Yeah, no, definitely.
and I don't know
That's why
why.
I asked if you were okay because it's like, who the hell knows? You click into a video chat and sometimes it's just like something's just not okay.
Yeah. Uh, but it's interesting. You come from real life, and the people that you meet in real life, and then you dive into an online world, and holy shit, things are getting hateful out there, bub.
Yeah.
Really hateful. It's nuts.
It's scary. It's scary because I remember back when Bush was president. He was like the first kind of start of like this polarization that I saw as like a little kid. You saw the people calling him an idiot and like just lambasting him about dumb shit.
Right. Right. He used to say
And then
some off the
everybody
wall
else
shit.
kind of accepted him or maybe not even like him, but like accepted that he was a part of what we're going to be doing for right now.
Hmm.
And maybe next time we can vote him out and find somebody else. Now it's like nobody wants to give acceptance at all because if you give acceptance, all of a sudden you're a bigot. And it's like, what the fuck is all of this?
Yeah, like even if you don't accept the guy, he doesn't hit your palate in a right way, or you don't like the way he speaks, or whatever the case may be, the things that he's doing for the country is the point,
Mhm.
right? And I remember being um, very far to the left. Because that's where I thought I was supposed to be, because I was a feeler, I was emotional, and it just,
Dumb question. Did
yeah,
you feel like you had to be because you were a lesbian?
I feel like that's where the people that I was gravitating towards, that's where they were.
I saw a
So,
couple of those people. That's why I asked because I was like, it's weird watching you specifically because you have transformed so far. And I did too, but like not as drastic as you did. And it's really interesting to watch your kind of mentality around things shape and morph depending on who you're around and stuff like that. You're in upstate New York,
yeah,
much, much bluer than Utah. You know what I'm
absolutely.
saying?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's interesting to watch it completely flip.
But it was out in Utah, the red state, when I was a leftist. Like
Mhm.
a leftist where I would go to the Capitol building and stand with a bunch of people to make a point. That kind of leftist.
Mhm.
The leftist where I would read a headline and then go off and hate because of the headline. and not read into the. I was lazy, intellectually lazy is what I call it. You wanna pick the headline, you wanna listen to the news broadcast and not look deeper into the situation, because that's the information that's spoon fed to you and given to you, and you can still live the rest of your life and be okay with it. And that was all fine and good for me until I hit a barrier that had to do with children.
Yeah.
And when I hit a barrier that had to do with children, the game was off for me. And as soon as I said, hey, I'm not really comfortable with the community acting this way, we can get into the specifics if you want, but it was, no, you're homophobic. Bitch, I am a whole gay person, a whole lesbian ass with a whole ass wife, and you're going to sit here and call me homophobic? Because
Yeah.
I'm not down with you going after people's kids. Like, what?
That one turned me too. Now, I'm probably just as conservative as you are, and I probably didn't change as much as you did. But I had a lot of like I would have voted for Obama both times.
Mm.
Do I agree with all of his ideologies now? No. But like as a whole, I grasped why I gravitated towards that side. It was the, you know, oh, everything can be okay. Here's more support. Here's more this. Like knowing the life that I lived at that point, it's very hard to be like, oh, it's crazy for you to be so far left. And I'm like, no, half of my family circle was some form of LGBT. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like, and so much of that was around me that it's kind of hard to be like, oh yeah, I'm very Republican. I remember hearing as a kid that Republicans are retards, and it's like, guys, they weren't wrong.
Well, I was brought up with, not brought up with, because to be honest with you, she didn't talk about it. She never talked about who she voted for. But my mom was a Republican, and
Mhm.
she and my dad obviously was a Republican as well, and they were fiscally conservative, but I felt that growing up and in the world, and what I grasped from it is that Democrats were feelers, and we want, the best for everybody, and the Republicans were worried about money, and we just want things done the way we want them done so that we can have the best outcome money wise.
And you see that with like my generation too. You see that with Katie. You see that with Kayla. You see that with everybody that kind of surrounded me. It's like you guys wanted to give. You guys wanted to give to situations that genuinely just were like, oh, you have to feel and give to everybody. It's like, guys, giving to everybody doesn't make everybody equal.
Yeah.
That's not how equality is made.
Yeah, it's interesting. It was just, so I felt like I fit more because I was a feeler in a Democratic. So when I got able to vote, I was a Democrat. When I went out to Salt Lake City, the red state, I was a big fat Democrat, leftist liberal, and I drove my father crazy. But now thinking about it, I was I was everything that I laugh at now. Like, I wasn't to the screaming in the streets point, but at the same token, I was blinders were on, and it was
Mhm.
that community um, was very, we believe this, we believe this, we believe this, and if you're going to be in our community and accepted, you're going to pretty much fall in line. And if the beliefs stray from that, then you're called names and ostracized and told to relinquish your gay card. Well, bitch, roll up. I'm not giving that shit up. Take it out of my hand. Your keyboard warrior is going to tell me what to do, and I'm going to sit here and still be gay married in my gay household with my gay job.
And
You,
that shit doesn't make sense to me. Like, I remember learning in history that we were a fucking melting pot of essentially cheese that we're all thrown into a fucking pot and we're all supposed to accept each other. We're all supposed to care. It's like, guys, the more that we stray away from saying that we're just Americans, the more that we segregate ourselves off to being this ideology, that ideology, we're fucking slowly devolving from what we were into a fucking salad bowl. And
Yeah, we went for
we're
sure.
the
We went.
shit that
Sorry.
we don't want to be. No, you're fine. I was trying to figure out exactly what joke I wanted to make, and then it just stuttered. But
No, we went from no labels. I'm Gen X. We went from no label society. Don't label me to, oh, we're all pigeonholed now into these situations. Just because I'm a lesbian, I need to believe X, Y, Z, and I don't agree with that. So the kids was the tipping point for me, and I didn't agree with
me
it, and
too.
so yeah, no.
With that situation and like moving towards being a Republican as well, I remember after we had Nick, a whole bunch came out about how they were trying to open up abortion till birth.
Mm,
And that one rubbed me really, really fucking wrong. It just
bro.
it hit me in the chin, and I'm like,
Mhm.
not again. No, this is not how this happens.
The parties have shifted so much. Like you can stay in one place. Like for instance, let's take Bobby Kennedy. You can look at other people that have come from being even Donald Trump himself was a Democrat.
Mhm.
The Democratic Party is the one who shifted ideologies to more progressive and liberal. Everything shifted over. The person remained where they were, and you could see the whole party shifting. And it was something else. And so I ended up when that happened, and they, I mean, I was basically, everything but my gay card stripped. I was the problematic older lesbian, is what they call me when I get talking about things that I don't agree with that they are going on about. But my pendulum shifted. My pendulum
Mhm.
shifted right, and it shifted overcorrected. I'm gonna say that, and then probably 2 years ago, it came right back around to where I was to begin with, which is a little bit right of center. And I don't listen to the conservative gatekeepers. I consider myself conservative wise, but I also want people to be left alone to live their lives as long as they don't push their lifestyles on other people. That's how I was raised.
Yeah, and like I think a lot of people are the same exact way, and I just wish that they would stop trying to label it,
Mhm.
because I think labeling it is the reason why so many people are so against voting Republican, or even just saying I'm a centrist at all or whatever. It's like I want you to keep everything that happens in your bedroom as long as it's not hurting somebody. I want to not fucking hear about it. I'm not homophobic. I'm not fucking racist. I don't want to know about it.
Yeah, no, it's got
I don't
nothing
want
to
to
do.
I don't want to answer questions to my kids. I don't like until
No,
I'm ready to have those conversations. It's not your job to instruct them on
no,
telling me when I have to.
no.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's not
That's
your
ridiculous.
job to be a social media uh, personality that's going to take the kids and lure them in and then bring them over to a Discord server and have conversations with them that their parents aren't ready for them to be in on yet. That's just something that I could not get on board with, and I'll die on that hill.
Mhm.
Absolutely, with every breath that I have. Um, but it was interesting. It was just, it came with a lot of grief as well. You think, the self betterment, you want to become a better person, but your beliefs aren't really lining up with the person you want to be. And then when you actually look past a headline or, the NBC news broadcast and you dig into, okay, what happened? Well, he changed this thing. Well, why did he change that thing? Oh, well, this happened. Well, I would change it too. You know what I mean? So if people looked into the reasons and followed things more than 1, 2, or 3 degrees, I think the whole world would be better off. It's being able to wrap your mind around a new idea, and
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people can do that, bud. You know?
I don't think a lot of people can genuinely just accept what exactly could be right from the side that they don't want to agree with.
Yeah.
It's much like you when you move out to Salt Lake and you're like, well, my dad's so hard stanced and he only believes this, so I must rebel against it. He's wrong, he's wrong, he's wrong. Then it's proving him right, and it almost lights a fucking fire under your ass of like, now I have to prove it wrong. And it's like, guys, as a country, regardless, like when Biden was put in office, let me be 110%. I hope that he's not as bad as I perceive him to be. Was he as bad as I perceived him to be? He might have been worse. But as a whole, that was my take on it. It's like, I have to believe that these people want what's best for the country.
Mhm.
Do we know if there's a grand cabal that controls fucking everything? No, we don't fucking know that yet. We have a couple months before we find out a hell of a lot of fucking information that we've wanted to know since the 60s. And guess what? The person that brought in transparency is the fucking small government guy.
Mhm. Yeah, but it's the perception of that he's trying to take over, and really it's the opposite. You know, I hated, detested Donald Trump when I was a liberal. Like, could
Mhm,
not stand it. Like, my sister is the biggest Trumpster that I know,
mhm,
and we were polar opposites. So when I would go off the wall on something, actually the whole switch happened with a situation with my sister. Um, the Supreme Court did something having to do with gays, and LGBT. I don't remember what it was at the time. And I went off about Trump doing this and Trump doing that. And she,
mhm,
said, "Hey, can you just read into the article? And when you come to my house, because I was going over her house, we'll talk about it." Okay, yeah, we'll talk about it. And I read it and I cocked my head and I pulled up two, three more articles because I don't know what you were taught in school, but I was taught you need to read more than just one article. You need to source at least 3 to 5 articles, and then you need to take the bias out of them. We were taught how
yep,
to do that too, and we were then to take the information collectively and make our own determination on it. That was actually an exercise that we did in class, and so she challenged me, and I researched my way into realizing that I may not like. It was a transformation. I may not like his personality, which I have kind of changed on that. Some
mhm,
things I can do without, but I think for the most part it's funny now. But 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 he didn't hate gays. Wait, this says he gave gays XYZ. You know what I mean? And then I looked into that more, and it was just astounding to me, that he wasn't the gay hater, he wasn't the racist, he wasn't, the oligarch that everybody thinks he is. And the more research I did, and the more time I did, and the more actual full conversations I watched, of him actually speaking in full context, not just these clips that they want you to sensationalize. Uh, I realized that he actually is the guy that these people are scrambling about because he wants to help us get the country back in order. And
mhm.
that falls into line with everything he's doing now.
And to me, if he is 25% the person that he accuses himself of being,
Mhm.
that is more than enough to earn all of my respect.
Yeah, because we
Do
all know
I?
people can self-inflate.
So my swap came from actually a very, very gay and flamboyant person, which is the funniest part about all of this. I don't know if you heard about him. His name is Milo Yiannopoulos. He was removed off
Mhm.
Twitter. He was removed off YouTube for a while and everything
Yep.
else. He was a gay conservative commentator and just a social media asshole. But I'm a very loud and bombastic and fucking eccentric person, and I like surrounding myself with them. And I don't remember if I sent it to you. I believe I did. I was like, weirdest day of my life. to have Milo in my DMs, to have Brandon Herrera in my DMs, and like 2 or 3 other conversations. I was like, this is the weirdest full circle situation I ever had in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember he was doing a talk about a few of the marches that were going on in New York City about pride and stuff like that. And he's like, the first people are screaming, we're coming for your kids. Because you guys are forgetting about one thing if you're straight right now. They can't have fucking kids. That's why they're coming for your kids. They're going to make this seem cool. They're going to make it seem childish. They're going to make all of their sexuality applicable to children so that way they can take your children. And it's like, let me fact check this. Okay, why is there a fucking fair in San Francisco where they're giving away big, crazy unicorn cocks that are rainbows and it's unicorn cock ring toss? Why is that a thing? Why is that a thing at a fucking fair for kids?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but no, that's not okay.
It got it got out of hand. I stopped going to the Pride events when I started seeing that it got over a certain line, and with children around. And that's when I stopped going to the events and stopped attending the parades, or just going to the parade and not going to the festivities, or vice versa, because the parade was worse than the festivities. It depended on what city you were in, where you were going.
I remember as a kid, like nudity was so frowned upon. And
Yeah.
I understand everybody's going to be like, oh, desexualize nudity. Sure, I agree. But when I'm going to Pride, which is a sexual thing to begin with, why is everybody 3/4 naked wearing lingerie and they're saying kids can come? That is not a kid friendly situation, nor should you be walking down Main Street naked.
Yeah, and it's okay to have that opinion, and not be called homophobic or transphobic or whatever the case is. It's ridiculous to be the first thing people do, instead of stopping and saying, "Okay, we have a difference of opinion. Let's kind of hash it out. What's your opinion? My opinion. We'll meet somewhere in the middle, and agree to disagree." Nowadays, we're going to go into our bag of insults and throw as many at you as we can humanly throw at you, because of the age of this screen is in front of me and not your face. Because most people wouldn't say those things to somebody's face full chested.
Oh, and it's like now because having a screen up in front of people has happened for like 10, 15 years consistently now. Now they're not afraid to say it to your face because they're used to there not being any consequences saying anything at all. Because
Then,
I can now speak from my high horse. I'm right. Every single social media says I'm right. And guess what? You're now muted because you're a bigot.
and here's the thing about New York. The thing about New York is that we have this bullshit called bail reform, and we get to punch that person square in the nose and teach them a lesson, be out in an hour with a fine. So I'm not playing those games with people. Like, I don't want to assault anybody, but you're not going to come at me either because I have a sticker on my bottle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not going to, and on the other side of my bottle, I have this sticker. Because why? Because that person's not as hateful as you think he is, but everybody's telling you to believe that. So you believe it because all the people around you trust. That's where I was. I was in a bubble of people I thought I could trust. And there was only probably a handful of them that I could. But coming out of it, the grief that I have is that I don't have most of those friends anymore.
Yeah. You
There's
lose everything.
one person in Salt Lake City that I still talk to, and that's my daughter.
Yeah.
One person, because I don't follow that ideology. I don't blame them for following it or having the beliefs that they have. And I still love my friends.
There's somebody from that circle, and I'm not going to say who. I'll post it in the chat if you want me to, where you can pick up on context of who it was from that circle that openly called me racist on Facebook.
Really?
And that I was a bigot and that I was an asshole. because I said that, hey, I see everybody as equal. It doesn't matter to me what your skin tone is. Every single person around me gets treated with the same level of respect. I'm not going to give somebody more respect just because they have a certain skin color. I love every single person that's around me, and I'm going to give every single person that level of care because that's what they deserve.
Yeah. It's the insult throwing that tells more about that person than it does about you. If they can hurl insults at you without even hearing a context of what you have to say, then that absolutely says more about them than it does
And
about you.
it disgusted me when, those people become heads or start leading things within a state to be like, oh, we're reformist. You're lucky you have a voice.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because in most circles, you are the person that everybody shuts the fuck up because they don't want to hear your shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It gets, it was very, very disheartening for me to, and it came to the point where I absolutely closed my mouth on Facebook because that's where the people I knew were.
Mhm.
And I didn't really know what to do. I hated the idea of TikTok at the time. So I just started posting videos on YouTube, just my thoughts, just putting them on YouTube, kind of like a diary vlog, even just for myself. I didn't care about views. I didn't care about any of this crap. I don't want to be monetized. But I just needed to get it out because I was driving my wife crazy,
Yeah.
and so it was an outlet, and it still is an outlet that I use. But then one of my friends was like, this would be amazing on TikTok. You'd do great. I got up to 25,000 followers. I got on TikTok, boom, 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 boom. Everybody just started. And I just kept making the videos, making the videos, making the videos. And that was when my pendulum was swinging way right. So right wing lesbian, everybody was just,
Yeah.
coming and
Exactly.
flocking. And it was okay. There was a lot of the internet trolling and, going about, what my teeth were doing or what my collar was doing or my shirt wasn't perfect that day or whatever the case may be. And so I got over that. But at the same time, there were the constant attacks of the type of content I was doing, which was political. And it
Mhm.
was right leading political stuff. And so I got banned at 25,000, over 25,005. And I'm back and I only have a couple thousand and I don't care because the people that interact are fun to chill with, and I don't have to worry about all
Exactly.
the other stuff.
Exactly.
But
It's
it was,
like I'm gonna sit here and enjoy every single second of this because it doesn't matter if it hits a million,
mm,
which it might. Who the fuck knows? It might hit zero. But
and that's
guess what?
okay.
I'm gonna keep talking every single bit of shit I fucking feel like because I'd rather speak openly than sit here and bullshit my way to the top.
Yeah, because it helps me, even though I might not be talking about exactly what's going on. That had me in the snit at the beginning of the video. I feel better because I'm talking about something that I care about and that actually matters. And it does matter. It matters to be able to open up your frame of mind for something that you believe, take in new information that you may not have known, and form a different opinion or a
And
more robust opinion. That's okay.
I have a question for you, actually. I see this, but I don't want to just, give it confirmation bias. Do you feel better about yourself and like the person you are and everything else now that you've actually changed ideology back to where you normally would have been without other people inflecting on it?
Yes. I not that being right leaning makes me feel more sanctimonious or none of that.
No, I'm not
Um,
saying it like that.
yeah, and I just wanted to make that clear for the audience,
Mhm.
anybody that may be listening. And that's not how I feel at all. But I really feel like who I was authentically at the beginning of my life until I was about 18, 19 years old. Going away to college, uh, it absolutely does what they say it does. There are breadcrumbs, and then there are trails that lead to certain thought processes, and you don't even realize that it's happening. So I feel like I was kind of, and I do look inward and I know why it happened and I changed those things about myself, but I feel like I was kind of led because I was looking for validation outside. I was led down a path that I would not have necessarily traveled had I not been led there.
See,
Have traveled that on my own.
it's crazy because I felt that myself, and I kind of shifted the way that I parent people, Madison, and soon to be Nick, with like, I don't want you just to trend seek and find a new trend and grasp onto it when it's an ideology thing. Like, if you feel, oh, I want to dress in black, go dress in black. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
But I don't want you finding like the fucking anarchists, becoming an anarchist because you think it's cool. You're going to fuck up your entire life. Think about this a little bit more logically. But personally, to me, like, I felt like it was so easy to become a Democrat or very left leaning because they did do all of the accepting. They did the whole you're this and you don't have to change shit. And there was no kind of bounds to it. Like, I don't know if it's just because I didn't have boundaries or what, but it was very, very easy for me to fall into that aspect of like, oh, it's okay not to have boundaries. It's okay to just, be me. And being me is okay, not having to fix myself.
Yeah, not having those boundaries means that you don't have to look within. So you also don't have those boundaries from people coming at you because you don't have them with yourself. You don't have them with other people. And so it allows them to do things and say things and come at you in ways that you wouldn't necessarily have accepted or want to accept. And it's interesting because as I feel myself coming back to myself, more honing in on your question, I just feel because I've taken all that outside noise and I've blocked it off. And I'm back with my own thoughts, my own opinions. I don't watch cable news. I don't read HuffPost or the puff pieces. It's sensational stuff that comes across MSN at work because that's what you have, Bing, MSN, whatever comes across their news feed. It's interesting because I'll see a headline now and I'll be like, oh, is that right? Let's see what really happened. And I'll go on the computer and I'll look up at least 3 articles and I'll do my deductive reasoning. And I'll be like, oh, and that this happened, that happened, that happened, and that's why this happened. But of course, they're not going to tell you all these things because it makes this side look bad or that side look better or whatever the case
Crazy.
is.
In 2016, I had an interview with Huffington Post because they were going to hire me. The same year I voted for Donald Trump, and my ex-wife was bawling her eyes out because I'm ruining the country.
That's funny. I know somebody that told their significant other if they did vote for them, they weren't the person that they thought they would be, and they'd probably end up getting a divorce. Yeah,
I got that too.
And so it's interesting because if you love somebody that much, you can take a second and understand where they're coming from, and it's interesting.
If you could not get out of your own feels and understand where somebody else's opinion is, then you're not in a relationship, you're in a dictatorship.
Yeah.
And if that's the only way that you perceive the world, if that's the only thing that you can like focus in on is your feelings in a situation, you have no care about anybody else in the situation, you're a controlling dictator. You are the person that they accuse Donald Trump of being.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you think about it, along the things that they point at with him are the things that they're actually being. Mm-hmm. They're the ones calling names. They're the ones policing speech. We can't say these things and those things, or we're racist or homophobic, or they're going out of their gourds because the man is doing an audit. Now, the word audit may be scary to people because people education level has gone down so much that people don't understand that an audit's done every single day in every single business in the United States of America. Like that, it's just a regular for a business. And the United States is one big business funded by our money, my money, your money, your money, your money, everybody who's watching this podcast and beyond in America is money. And so all he's doing is going through each agency and line by line, checking to see what's happened. And if anybody has taken a look, some of those line by line items aren't palatable with more than half of America. And it is just the most horrible thing in the world that this is happening because it is Orange Man and Spaceman.
And honestly, if you look at this in the craziest light ever, and I wish people would look at it this way. These millions and millions of dollars that they're finding changes one thing, right? Because you would assume every two adults would be a family and there's only one tax exchange for each one of them. And then, you have to add 5 or 6 people into that household. So it's 5-person household instead of just 2, just by going by averages and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So now you're moving that, $4,000 tax refund to about $12,000 per household now. And now multiply that since the first term of Obama in office, because that's when this political shit changed. It might have changed before that. I'm not discrediting that. I'm not saying that there wasn't shit going on with Clinton. I'm not saying that there wasn't shit going on with Bush. But when you look at a divisive line of what happened with all of the riots and everything else that happened during Obama's term, of, police brutality, this happened. Black versus white again, that happened again. There was money going into those situations from our government, making them worse actively, whether it's his rhetoric or monetary funds.
Yeah.
And those things are going to affect your pocket, whether you realize it or not.
Yeah.
My boss has said this on the podcast years ago, that I wish that there was a fucking spreadsheet that we were given every single year. And it's like, okay, if you support the military industrial complex and you want to be the number one fucking thing in the world, check this box. Yeah, okay, let's go. I don't care if it goes for a fucking fin on a ballistic missile. Let me pay for it. It's fine. But let people actually say, hey, put some of mine in this and this and this and that. And let us actually vote with our dollars about
like
what we want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and that would be too transparent because right now, with all the transparency, and they're listing it out on Doge, the White House website. There's an actual website with I wrote it down, Doge happenings or whatever, and it gives exactly what they're doing every day, what they're finding, and it's all transparent. But they're just and to tie it in with what you just said with Obama, I feel like that's when it started to get very polarized as well. As far as that's when I felt polarization start. I was raised to, treat everybody, everybody the same and then adjust to how they treat you. And that's how I lived my life until about the Obama era, and everything started becoming racial and putting everybody into a pigeonhole with sexuality and making all these labels. And to be honest, it was right around the same time that Obama made it okay for the media to start their propaganda, meaning they can tell us half truths and not full stories and actually at sometimes lies.
And every single fucking person hates it. And that's the shit that I can't fucking stand, is how many people scroll past a fucking weird ass post that says the top 10 things that you could change in your life that would affect you. Number 7 will blow your mind. Nobody fucking wants to see that as an article on a fucking news website. Not a single fucking person. You want to know how many times number 7 has blown my fucking mind? 0. Because it's true. Every single fucking BuzzFeed article that every single retard decides to click about how sexuality will blow your mind. And if you lick it this way, it'll change everything. You know how many people genuinely give a fuck?
As Fa would
Oh,
say, double goose egg.
the only people that give a fuck about that shit are the people that only want to watch fucking BuzzFeed articles for every single fucking take they have. And that's not how we should run the country.
No,
That's not how we should run our fucking lives. If you
no.
run your life based off of a fucking article, some douchebag who's never seen the floor of a fucking house typed out, bud, you're not living life.
I really think that the newest generation is coming back around to common sense, though, and they're starting to say, "No, that doesn't make sense. Bullshit," and you're not going to tell me otherwise. And they just go forward. And I believe that it's us that have helped them to be that way. And I think it's great. You know, like your son, he does no harm, but takes no shit. And
Mhm.
that's my motto. Don't do no harm, take no shit. But you don't need to be hurling insults online at someone, and kicking them out of entire gay communities because they have a line that they're drawing in the cement about children. That's
Yeah.
something we all should agree on, is
Listen,
protecting
I'm going to
children.
give you my opinion. If you want to come at me, I'm going to come at you with the full entire fucking power of this microphone. And guess what? My microphone carries a hell of a lot more weight than your keyboard. That's how I
It,
see it. Is like,
yeah.
you know, this is exactly like going to a comedy club and trying to be the funny guy and throwing a heckle at somebody. Your comment's going to be seen by hundreds of people. My post will be seen by thousands or hundreds of thousands. There's a difference. People like me, people don't like you.
Then either way, I mean, even if it is somebody that could punch down on you, it doesn't matter. It comes down to the type of person that you want to be.
Mhm.
And if you want to be somebody that will spout off and insults at people, because it makes you feel better about your position, then by all means be that human. But I've decided that I don't want to be in that boat anymore. That's not who I was to begin with. I was put in that boat by things that I thought I needed in my life that I didn't. And so I, on my journey back to being who I am, my
Exactly.
reboot, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I lost a lot of people that I acquainted with. I can't call a lot of them friends because they would not have. Uh, they would not have turned their backs on me without explanation. They would not have. They would not have. uh, You know, they would not have stopped a friendship with me because I uh, believed something different. Um, and and that's the big thing these days, is people just decide that they want to polarize situations. Things don't have to be so polarized. Like there's a whole a train of people out there that are of the thing that if you even smelled in the direction of voting for Donald Trump, you are a piece of shit and you don't deserve to walk the face of the planet.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not extreme. That's not extreme.
I've had death threats.
And that's not extreme.
That's my point. Is like I've had death threats. Like, what are you talking about?
But
Because I'm a white man, I don't deserve to live? Fuck yourself.
yeah,
Honestly, fuck yourself. Sit down on the big fucking stick that you decide to carry and hit people with.
yeah,
You know, I taught my kids in this exact kind of phrase, and I love learning the time period that it's on because I thought it was FDR instead of Teddy Roosevelt. Speak softly, but carry a big stick and you'll go far. It's not about, you know, swinging at every single little thing that is in front of you. It is about fucking hitting every single thing out of the park you decide to swing at. It is like this talks about how it's about foreign policy and stuff like that, but like even in your life,
gotta get your ducks in a row. Do
it
your shit. Do your research so that you can have something solid at the end of it.
yeah, it's not about, you know, just sitting here spouting off at every single little thing that microaggresses you.
Mhm.
Like that shit used to piss me off to no fucking end. What triggers you has no fucking meaning to me. unless I mean something to you, don't come at me and say you're fucking triggered because I'm gonna make a joke. And the joke you're not gonna like very much.
Yeah, I just found that on my path back away from the left, I just feel more solid in my decisions. I feel more solid in my speech. I feel more.
So my point was like it's almost like the ground that you build on, especially on the left now, is like so obscure and uneasy that it's really kind of hard to build on because like you're not building off of something that has morality. You're not building on something that's rigid. You're building on something that could ever change. And if you step out of line, you're automatically a bigot. You're automatically racist. You're automatically homophobic. And it's like these terms don't even mean anything anymore
No,
because every single person is being called them.
they've been
Like
saturated.
like you, out of all people, am I a racist?
I've I've never gotten that vibe at all in any
No. Most friends my entire fucking life were black. What the fuck are you talking about? And it's just like because I'm saying, hey, they should pull themselves up and push themselves together and stop selling drugs and doing things that are negative to their communities. That automatically makes me racist. I
No,
don't want
because
white
people
people
in
doing that either.
no people in their own community, people in the black community want people to stop doing that to make their own communities better. So that doesn't make us racist because we're white saying it. We're saying the
It's just
same thing
crazy
most
to
of the
me.
black community is saying. But it's just like with me, like it's crazy because people just last week somebody went at my wife because she about all this polarization with Donald Trump and the things that he's doing, and she was just like, look, I don't know who you heterosexual married woman have any skin in the game of my gay marriage. Like, you have no idea what it's like to walk in my shoes. So how come you're pigeonholing me into I have to believe this? You can't tell me that all trans people are good and nobody's going to attack anybody in the bathroom, bitch, because it's already happened. And that's why there's issues. That's why the pendulum has swung all the way to the other end. And they have taken our community, crumpled it up, and thrown it in the goddamn garbage because it's absolutely nuts what's happened. Like, you can only taunt people for so long before people have that gay acceptance that people used to be after. Well, they're not after that anymore. They don't give a shit. They just want to shock and awe, and I'm not with it.
No, to me, and obviously, I remember a lot of your stories. I remember a lot of Jessica stories and stuff like that. I remember a lot of that stuff. But I think Milo was right. It changed from fighting for equality, which is I get married, you leave me the fuck alone, we make jokes at each other's expense, to I'm now God almost. I dictate what happens now because I'm a minority and you have to fucking accept it. And I hate that fucking ideology.
Yeah, no,
I don't care. Like, if I'm equal to everyone, which is what I'm supposed to be, my skin color, my sexual orientation, and the fact that I do or don't have a dick should not fucking matter. Like, as a whole, none of those three things should be the deciding factor on if you listen to me or not.
most of us gay, bi, trans who actually were around for Stonewall didn't fight for extra special rights. We fought for equal rights.
Mhm.
And the last I checked, I'm legally gay married.
I don't know what
So,
gay has to be in front of it personally. Like, to me,
no,
like
I
it's
mean, yeah,
marriage.
but there's a lot of people there's a lot of people that want to take that and strip it away because it is not. That's what I call about gatekeeping conservativeness. Because
Oh, I
as
know.
if you think about it, I don't belong there either. If people want to gatekeep, if you ask Steven Crowder, I'm not conservative, but I don't give a fuck what Steven Crowder thinks
Oh,
because
absolutely.
Steven Crowder can't gatekeep conservatism.
to me, like the ideology by itself is completely separate from the figureheads or the certain ideologies that you disagree with. This is a fucking buffet of ideology. It's not, I have to accept one and feel pigeonholed the same way you did for fucking 20 years.
Yeah.
That's not how you have to live life. That's not what you have to do. If you say, hey, I don't fucking like abortion, I want gay rights, but I also want to be able to shoot a gun if I need to defend myself, where the fuck do you go? Oh, wait, you actually go conservative because the gay marriage part of that is not the thing that you fight. Republicans should not be fighting gay marriage at all. If they wanted to argue and say, hey, you can't force a church to marry you because the church doesn't believe in it, I might even say your argument's kind of valid. Let them get married and let it be equal.
And that's the big thing I learned whenever I went over to TikTok is that the ideology that I always was taught on the left was that Republicans hated gays. Well, guess what? 25,000 Republicans said that they didn't. And this is just little me from Podunk, New York.
And even the like super religious retard ones, the ones that don't believe that your marriage is actually a valid thing, will tell you they don't hate the sinner, they hate the sin. They hate where you lay, not what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, as a whole, like, I'm not saying I agree with it, but at the same time, that sounds more accepting than you better accept my ideology.
It could, but then you're bringing religion in and using it as a clobber.
I completely agree.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, as a whole. Like,
I get it. I get it. It's the way to accept it surrounding in their mind and in their Christian mind. That's what the Bible says, even though I don't agree with that. But that being said, it is what it is. I just don't believe, I just can't believe that in 2025, we're still calling each other names as adults, as full ass fucking adults on the internet. We can't have a conversation, disagree,
seriously,
and still walk away being friends.
Trying to cause harm. Like if we sit here and call somebody a tard or sit there and call somebody a dipshit, like that's normal shit. We're bantering back and forth. That's okay.
No, but online is somebody comments on a comedian's page that they don't know, they didn't like the halftime show, and all of a sudden he tags their freaking employer and gets them fired for being racist because they didn't enjoy the halftime show. What the fuck are we doing? Like, this is not okay. It's not okay. When you look in, would you like to be treated that way? No, you would not like to be treated that way at all. So don't treat somebody else that way. It seems corny, but goddamn.
First off, loved fucking Kendrick's show. Did a fantastic fucking job. Very fucking proud of him. He had the balls that a lot of people genuinely don't. And I think that should absolutely be applauded by a majority of the right. Funnily enough, they're the people that don't understand it. And crazy Uncle Bob down the road, who's drunk fucking too many 6-packs, still doesn't deserve to have his fucking life canceled because he doesn't agree with you.
Right.
I don't know. I don't have a crazy Uncle Bob, but still, like, sentiment's the same. Regardless of if you're right or left, you don't deserve to fucking lose everything because me and you disagree.
No, you don't. This cancel culture bullshit is for the birds. There's just a bunch of fucking bullies, is all it is.
No, they give you bad name. Because that's all they are. They're a bunch of fucking Karens. That's all they fucking are.
Thank you.
They turned an acceptable name into an absolute dog ass fucking dingleberry fucking name that no kid should ever have. You don't want to be like, look at my baby Karen. You're going to cut her into a fucking mullet cut within 20 days? Like, what are you doing? So, like, fuck, man.
Yeah, it's getting to a crazy point, but I think that a lot of people are just kind of cutting it out. And once they have an interaction with somebody online, much like myself, I'm finding if the exchange of information isn't mutually respectful, the people that have already settled themselves with the situation, whatever way they believe, will bow out of the conversation and move on to something else, because those people are not wounded inside to be baited and hurl insults at others, in my
Exactly.
opinion.
To me, if you're not going to come at this conversation with us both coming at it and being accepting that the other person's being genuine, because I think that that's the hardest part that everybody genuinely struggles with. It's not, okay, you're right or wrong. It's, do I feel like you're being an asshole or not?
Yeah.
We're not having a conversation then. That's it. If you cannot understand that I'm a genuine person and have genuine feelings or feel this specific way because of things that I dealt with in my life, and they're genuinely a reason why I think this way, then genuinely you are not a human.
Yeah.
You don't care about other people. You genuinely don't.
Yeah. And again, as I said more towards the beginning, it says more about that person than it does about you. The insults that they're hurling at the other person. It does, whether they think it does or not. It absolutely does. And it's going to come to a time in their life where they're sitting there and they're alone, or they're not happy where they are. And they're going to look back on their life and they're going to realize why these points in time where they didn't give acceptance, they're not getting acceptance, because karma was a bitch like that.
Mhm. And it's insane. Like, I remember being shit on because of where I lived by a person who also graduated from the same high school I graduated from. Crazy. How the fuck do you think you can just all of a sudden speak and tell me that I'm racist because I went to the same school you did?
What does that make you?
We're either the same or we both can understand the context of the world, you fucking dipshit. One or the other, which one?
Mhm.
And then, like, being told that my kids are always going to be more than their cousins or family members because they're fully white when they're not, is fucking insane to me.
No, that's bullshit. And we never believed that, never would believe that. But those things are put into the space where we belong because of somebody that we may have voted for. It's crazy.
And it sucks. It sucks because a lot of this stuff obviously comes out afterwards. But I want everybody that listens, everybody that hears this, whether it's this clip or the entire episode, don't just think about, like, what is my ideology today? Because everybody grows. You could go from being Republican to being very, very Democrat because you believe in some social issue. So I'm not saying just one way or the other. I'm saying, like, across the board, you're going to move in your life. You're going to move whether you're married or not married.
Mhm.
You getting married and then all of a sudden getting fucked over in a divorce could change it so you believe that there should be no fault divorce. Or, no abortion, or no trans athletes, or whatever you think is going to happen, because things are going to happen in your life where maybe, just maybe, one of those things that are somebody staunchly against or staunchly for happens to you and affects somebody you care about.
And it changes the way you see and view the world. It changes your whole way of taking things in, and it will spin you around. And that's okay.
I think
Just be real.
from both of us, and KJ, you can sign on if you want. Nobody should be shit on for the things that they believe. They're things, whoever you are at 18 years old.
Just be
Before that,
authentic. Just
you're a
be
fucking
authentic.
kid. I'm not going to judge you at all. You're a kid.
Mhm.
But if you come at me like a fucking ignoramus at fucking 18 years old with your head in the sand telling me that I'm an idiot because I don't understand something and you're not understanding where I'm coming from, then you're going to be called an ignoramus because you're being one. You don't get to dictate policy because of your specific ideology, and I don't either. Nobody does.
No.
Everybody should be accepted. You don't get to drag your feet in the sand and say you don't. We'll see you fucking next time. Keep walking the lonely road, boys. We love you, and everything's going to be okay. It
Take
gets
care.
better tomorrow.
Cheers.